Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. 52-year-old farmer gunned down in St. James. The St. James police are investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of a farmer who was shot and killed by unknown assailants in the community of Tonga River on Saturday afternoon. He has been identified as 52-year-old Ian Bell, otherwise Ghost Time, of Bottom Roper district in the area. The police report that about 2:20 p.m., residents reported hearing a barrage of gunshots in the community. When the shooting subsided, they went to investigate. Bell was discovered in blood in a yard that has a one-bedroom board dwelling. The police were summoned, and upon arrival, it was discovered that Bell was shot multiple times. The scene was processed and the injured man was transported to the Corner Regional Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Child remains removed from burnt house in Norwood. An air of mystery still surrounds the death of two men in St. James, whose bodies were found in partially burnt-out house in Henderson, Norwood on Friday morning. While residents believe the men, who up to press time last night had only been identified as Jane and Mookie, were killed by armed thugs before the house was set ablaze, investigators are awaiting the completion of their probe to determine the cause of the men's death, noting that the bodies were severely burned. Residents in the area, known as Joan Avenue, told reporters that they heard gunshots coming from a section of the community shortly after 1 a.m. on Friday, and then saw fire coming from the direction of the house, which is located on Hacker Street. They, however, did not call the fire brigade until daylight. "Opiaso, we have to see and blind, hear and deaf, so nobody now go run out of them house them time of night day, especially after them hear so much gunshot," one resident said. "Opiaso, a life or death, so nobody now go have no time for come out of them house to come look in at night, because them same one might pick up gunshot. If we have a happy and long life, we have to just keep our mouth shut," the resident added. The police reported that they were called about 8 a.m. and upon their arrival they discovered that the house was set on fire. They said they then summoned the fire brigade. The firemen carried out cooling down operations, and the remains of the two mates were removed from the house. The St. James Police and investigators from St. James Division of the Jamaica Fire Brigade will revisit the scene to continue their probe. Superintendent Rodolph Seaton, commanding officer in charge of the St. James Fire Service, told reporters that it is customary for investigators to conduct multiple visits to the site of a fire in such cases. Seaton said that one unit was dispatched from the Montego Bay Fire Station about 9:30 a.m. on Friday after receiving an emergency call. Upon arrival, the firefighters saw several police officers attached to the Norwood Zone of Special Operations at the location. They were already on the scene, they have already carried out their assessment, and they advised us that inside of the building, a 10-apartment concrete structure with slab roof, that they were burnt remains of what appeared to be two male adults, he added. A curfew was imposed in the area effective 7 p.m. on Friday. It is set to expire at 6 a.m. on Monday. Jamaica Customs Agency said adherence to all requirements necessary for efficient processing and clearance of goods. The Jamaica Customs Agency (JCA) says it's aware of the public comments regarding delays in the clearance of goods by couriers and shipping companies, and would like to reassure the public that its processes are operating optimally at all ports. The agency, in a statement, said agents who ship goods to Jamaica are reminded that they must follow certain steps to ensure ultimate clearance. These are: submit cargo manifest to include breakdown manifest via the Port Community System (PCS) to the JCA prior to arrival of vessel. Determine whether a request will be made to move goods from the port to a public bonding warehouse or have goods examined on the port. Ensure container is offloaded and cargo scanned at the warehouse. Create and submit the specified IMS4 declaration and uphold all supporting documents to include invoices provided by the importer. Pay the applicable custom duties and fees for each declaration. Arrangement with the warehouse for goods to be presented to the customs for inspection. Custom officer inspects the cargo. Cargo is released to the agent importer if all requirements are met. The JCA is urging importers to assist by ascertaining from their agents if all the above-mentioned sets have been adhered to and whether all customs requirements have been met. The agency continues to improve its border protection initiatives for the benefit of all Jamaicans. As such, has included enhanced non-intrusive inspection and physical examination of goods based on the risk rating of the importer, the goods or the industry, intelligence, or random selection. Importance should therefore allow for significant time for the clearance of goods, the JCA said. A queer-beating death of man accused of stealing bottles. It was a fatal beating for 21-year-old Chevron Colmaris, who lived at Tivoli Gardens, West Kingston, was reported attacked by men in the community on Saturday, October 22, after he was caught stealing 2 crates of empty bottles from a shop. Morris was rushed to the Kingston Public Hospital where he was pronounced dead. The head of the Kingston Western Police Senior Superintendent Michael Phibbs told reporters that investigations are ongoing. 2 persons were taken into custody and were still investigating. We have arranged a post-mortem date, Phibbs said last Tuesday. Before that, police had named 3 men as persons of interest in relation to Morris' murder and urged the men to report to the Denham Town Police Station by 12 p.m. on Thursday, October 27. Sources told reporters that a family member had brought Morris to the men, which resulted in the deadly beating. Police revealed that similar information was received, but upon being questioned, the relative denied the claims. Dr. Condolo of Ashes Healthcare, while making it clear that medical examination and investigation is necessary to explore Morris' case, explained that it would have been an extremely severe beating to cause death. If organs are damaged, that causes internal bleeding. If a person gets an injury or blunt hit to their vital organs like a lung, liver, kidney, brain or heart, nerve supply or blood supply can be damaged. If that is affected, the person may die in 24 hours. Sometimes, they may even die within 1 or 2 hours. It depends on the severity, he stated. He further said chances of death are higher if an individual has comorbidities. If there are any underlying sickness before and not able to manage the injury, then the person can die too. He noted that the level of damage also depends on body type. An individual with a very small body frame, he said, is likely to suffer more serious implications. The organs are not fully covered by any fatty-like muscles, so that means because if a blunt hit, the organs are easy to be damaged or experience trauma, so they can be internal bleeding, he said. And a blow to the head, he explained, is far more damaging. If a blunt hit, bleeding can cause damage to the brain cells, and those cells are responsible for controlling parts of the body, including the heart. If the heart stops functioning, then you can die. Residents, for the most part, were tight-lipped, but 2 who spoke to reporters expressed alarm at the incident. I cannot believe it, only God knows. If anybody know Kyle and see him body size, them know him can't take no liquor beating. That is a wickedness, one person said. Another lamented, where the love gone in Tivoli? It shows that life has no value because man a kill youth over buckle. Me nah say the youth them figure thief, but the beating match the crime. Meantime, Attorney at Law Kemar Seaton advised against individuals turning to area leaders or thugs for violent punishment, as they can learn a fold of the law. A beating is actually an offense, and assault occasionally actually bodily harm. Also, if a person is beaten and ends up dying, they can be manslaughter charge, and the person who took the individual to those people to be beaten, they would be seen as an accessory before and after the fact to the offense or offenses committed, Seaton explained. He further noted that if the individual parties argued that they never had the intention for the person beaten to die, it wouldn't be considered murder but manslaughter. He added, if the person contributed to the beating and so forth, he would be an accomplice. If the person did not participate in the beating, but was there while the men were beating the victim, they can still be considered an accomplice. They would be said to call joint enterprise because they did nothing to show that they were not a part of it. Rights Life Management Services is a non-governmental organization with the focus of its program designed to meet the needs of young people at risk in Jamaica, particularly those living in inner-city communities. Programs Manager Sean McGregor told reporters that he is not surprised about the incident. A bit for a simple issue. Usually, we hear things about rape and major theft and so on, and the Don would call you and break your foot. But for a simple issue like this, some bottles, it is not the norm. It is an outlier in a sense, he said. He pointed to a similar incident in Parade Gardens back in 2005. I had a friend who was beaten and killed because of something he may have done, an innocent young man who plays football and was walking the street and narrow. He may have seen someone out of line and they thugs wouldn't send somebody and beat him, and he got a head collision and he died. Those were the days of the one done in the era, and now you have about 3 different factions, and then you have factions within factions. McGregor noted, however, the practice of thugs beating young men in communities is not as prevalent as it once was. About 10 years or so ago, when you had dons like Dudos and other dons and a more systematic approach, that wouldn't have been the order of the day. But now, what we have in the inner city is really spirited in terms of the formation of gangs, and in one community, you may have 5 or 6 gangs in a small space. Maybe Tivoli still has maintained their structure, and so that is why this can happen to a young man in that way. In Parade Gardens, where I'm at now, there is no system like that anymore. And what that has given us is a lot of young men taking up responsibilities off their heads in a sense, and almost every lane in the community you have a different don. McGregor said there is a lot of difference to the leadership of these systems. Even a mother would defer to the don out of fear to begin with, but it's not as centralized as before. The absence of it would be a great solution, but the breaking down of one system, which was led to another system which you basically have kids in control with guns, holding people at ransom, which has replaced the old system. I can't say this is working in any shape or form, he told reporters. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell.